Welcome back from the break. This is KTN Life and Style Inspiration Monday. Here, this segment is called Perspectives, where we talk about issues affecting you. And today we're talking about what do the youth want 2020, this year? What is it that you want? Let us know on the hashtag KTN Life and Style. Nini mnataka? Tuambie. Before the break, we were talking to Brian and Gitonga about the opportunities that are out there. And they're doing the same thing, just different sort of in a way, because Gitonga here is advising the youth on how to spend, how to save, where to start. And Brian is giving opportunities to the youth out there. And you've had opportunities a lot. So guys, in terms of leadership, you at some point have had in school an opportunity to be a leader. How would you say it was?
I'd say leadership is not something you're born with. It's something that you develop depending on who your friends are, because they always say, show me your friends and
tell you who you
are. It's been quite a challenging journey because at first you have to discipline yourself, and there's what people out there expect of you. This is what you'll do, and people will ask, hey, Brian has done that. Even Brian can do that. So once we get such incentives, they drive us and they make us become better people. And I'd say through that, I've been able also to gather the confidence and to be a voice of the youth, because we realize, you see, at the end of the day, we have generations are transitioning. And like the youth back in the days, we used to sit with the elderly and the elders, not the elderly, but the elders, and they were to guide the young men on what to do and how life is approached. But in our transition, it has come to a time when our elders who are supposed to direct us, maybe they sideline ourselves, they sideline themselves from us because maybe of the discipline and character and attitude. So once we get the opportunities, we need to maximize, because still the old days were gold, and we just need to go back and mine what that gold was. And through that, we've been able to also groom so many people, and it all starts with a belief. You just believe that you are a leader. You believe you can initiate change for the generation, and you run with it, and also be resilient, because at times you'll face challenges, and those challenges that won't break you are the challenges that will make you the person and the good leader that you are. And I'd say that comes also with the discipline, as you mentioned. Discipline from your personal appearance, discipline to where you go, who you talk to. And as you discipline that, you also discipline the ideas you develop, the music. If you're an artist, what articles do you write? What music, what is the content of music that you produce? If you're a producer, how do you lead your people? Can they not? And leadership is always very much notable. It's notable. You don't have to speak it. You can always look and see, wow, that's a leader. And as you discipline yourself, you realize that this is also going to transition even in your finances, because you'll find you have started disciplining even how you spend. On what do you spend? Do you spend to make people happy, or do you spend to help people? You see, this is two different things. There are those people who can maybe go and buy you something just to make you happy, but they've made you happy for today. Have they helped you for your tomorrow? So as you grow, it's a journey growth that has to be consistent, because as you grow, you start realizing, I would have done better yesterday, and because I've realized I made a mistake, let me do it better today. And that has led me to a point when I've realized that even once you discipline yourself, the disciplined people who have gone beyond you, you will start attracting them, because they'll see something different. You have a different way of thinking from other people. And one wise man always said, I've been able to get this far because I've had the opportunity to step on the shoulders of the great men who have gone before me. If you step on the shoulders of a great person, you'll see farther than even they are able to see. They'll impart you with knowledge, and this knowledge will transition into wisdom, and that will help you build up on your character.
You're talking, Brian is talking as an individual. You have the discipline, you've had the opportunity to get to where you are. Gitonga, maybe you can tell us, do you think the youth, the majority of the youth out there are disciplined enough to be leaders? And in terms of like politics, do you think they can be trusted, because we have a few youth who are already in politics and some are involved in scandals, people out there thinking they're stealing, and there's not much of a change being made.
Yes, as my colleague says, leadership is more of a discipline,
yes.
and leadership is groomed over a period of time. And I think, for me, I would say the aspect of young people being leaders boils down to the moral fabric of our society, what our society has been, what, as he's saying, what the past was, what our parents, the environment that they grew up on is very different from what we are currently experiencing as young people. The world is now a global village, and it's very dynamic, and we can attest that generation from generation, the aspects of what defines who we are has really changed. For example, if you look at in this country right now, people worship people with money. It doesn't matter how you got that money, people worship people with money. So it boils down to the moral fabric. And towards the end of last year, there was the Wajinga Nyinyi that was really trending a lot towards the end of last year. It boils down to us making a deliberate decision as the young people to change what people think is what defines us at this particular time. What I would say is we have a few youth that have taken that responsibility. And you see, the change that has been there has been detrimental to the young people. And towards the end of last year, you were seeing the young people were standing up and saying, no, this is not the kind of Kenya we want. We don't want corrupt leaders. We don't want leaders who are making their money the wrong way. We have to stand up and say, this is not the Kenya we want for ourselves moving forward this year. And they are young people that are ready, willing, capable, and able to make that particular stand and lead this nation towards the direction that is required. So yes, I would say yes, the young people can be leaders that can be trusted. But it boils down to, can we be able to change the moral fabric? The generation that we've had has taught us that has become corrupt because of what we've been able to see in the global village. But we have seen the effects. And the young person of today is seeing the effects of what we think is cool. You see, what you see on TV or what you see other people doing, you think is cool. But people are saying that we thought was cool is no longer cool. And it's actually affecting us. And there are young people that are standing up. And we are there, and we would want to be able to lead our young people. We would want to change the culture at the civil service. We would want to change our economy. We would want to change the way people view us. We would want to change the style of leadership that is supposed to be brought therein. And as he says, it's about merging our dynamism as a young people and also bringing together the conservatism of the old people. Once you bring these two together, then you are able to have leaders that are able to lead this country to its Vision 2030.
Brian, do you think the opportunity there, especially in terms of our government today? Yes, the youth are standing up. We have King Kakahu and Giuliani and many others before. But like, let's say, for instance, Giuliani, he sang about it, Eric Wainaina, and then it sort of just is washed away somehow. Do you think the older generation, especially in the government, are ready to pave way for now the youth to come in and make change in order for us, even as the youth, to trust our youth leaders? Because at some point, I feel like the youth and the older generation, especially in power, then the youth end up being merging with the older ones and doing what they're doing. Like, kama ni kuiba now. Someone came into politics saying they're going to make a change. Alafu wakiingia now, they realize it's a dirty game. It's not about making that change. And then they're somehow they just end up gelling with the older generation. But anyways, do you think the older generation is ready to pave way for the youth?
I think the older generation is ready to pave way for the youth, but I'd say also most of us, we complain a lot that we don't have the right leaders. And we end up being submerged in that ocean of we don't have the right leaders, and forget, once you notice that we don't have the right leaders to lead us, what are you doing about it? Are you developing yourself as a leader? Are you looking to become the next leader that the people are lacking? So it's a matter of taking a personal responsibility as a person. And once it starts with you, that you identify this leadership is not the right leadership. It needs to be like this. and you start training yourself to be a leader, you'll find out that even once the time to make the decision comes, you'll make the right decision because you took as a self-responsibility and you thought about your future, you thought about someone else. I'd say, yeah, it's always expected that once you put one rotten egg in a tray of 10 fresh eggs, it might end up spoiling all the rest. And that's very true. So I think we need to start also filtering out. By now, youth, we have the ability, and also with the great men who have gone before us, great business people that we can always learn and mentor. We can always pick the best traits from them. Because at the end of the day, if we don't change this, even our nation will suffer. And once our nation suffers first, even the entire world will suffer. Because if Kenya out there is portrayed as a nation that is corrupt, and whenever grants maybe are given, whenever money is given to help the people, it just ends up to the pockets of people. Even investors will not be willing to come invest in our country. So how can we change this as the youth? How can we change this as the great men who have already gone before us and who have seen where Kenya went wrong? Because I believe Kenya so far we are doing well, but we can get better. We just need to accept that yes, it's true that we are not in the right direction, rather we are not in the wrong direction. We are just in a point of transitioning. And for a proper transitioning to happen, this has to culminate down from the smallest child to the eldest person. And there need to be, to bridge that gap, just, you see, I always tell people, most of the students, we lacked opportunities because we went to boarding schools. And once you go to boarding school, you don't even have access to maybe what is going on there. For example, I went to a boarding school. In that boarding school, we didn't have the opportunity to watch news and know what is current. And it's within a gap of 4 months. So 4 months in school, you don't know what is going down. You go to ask a child who is in maybe class 7 or even Form 3 or even someone who is transitioning this year to Form 4. What is the BBI about? They don't know. Yet these are the leaders for tomorrow. So I think there are so many loopholes that needs to be filled up from the early generation as they come to school, and give them opportunities, let them know things. I believe even that BBI should have been designed, should be taken as a lesson in the high school, because these are the leaders we expect tomorrow. And they will not know not unless they learn. Let them take it as a lesson. Enough of learning history of years ago while we are transitioning into a world full of opportunities, and demands you to do research, demands you. I was having a chat with one of my directors. He was lucky to go school to do his master's in the University of Leeds. He was telling me that he learned about 5G in 2010. Yet 5G, even in our country, it's something that we've not yet even transitioned. Most people who are doing IT, they don't know about it. Yet these people in the Western, they're always ahead. So how do they get ahead? It's because once they get the idea, it's streamed down to the students, because this thing, the BBA is not meant to benefit the people who are currently in power, but it's meant to benefit the young man there who is looking for a job, the young man there who is looking forward to have a bright future.
Yes, I think he's raising very good points, that information is very key for people to be able to make decisions that will be able to inform what kind of leadership opportunities they should be able to have. I'll speak to the Arab Spring that we've been able to have. It was informed by when the middle class grew in Egypt and in Syria, you saw a lot of riots. Why when the middle class grows? Because what I think is when you have a poor population, then they become gullible to whatever kind of agenda they are getting. Then they worry too much about having food on the table than actually getting to know what is the right quality of life we should be able to have. What is the right of information? So once you don't have information and once you are made poor, then you become gullible. So as we are saying, it's about fundamental changes in how we've been able to conduct our business in this particular country. Access to information information, as he says. When people become more informed, then they are able to stand up for themselves and know this is the kind of leadership that we actually want. When people have the exposure, when they know that actually what I am consuming today is not what I'm supposed to be having. For example, if my road is not made, it is my right to actually have my road. Do you know actually it is engraved in our constitution that you should not sleep hungry? It is in our constitution that you should have a shelter. The government should provide you a shelter. But
so why are there many people now without the shelter, without the food?
We are not empowered to even have information. For example, I'll give you an example. The reason why a police would catch you on the road and tell you utoe kitu kidogo is because you do not know even what the fine for the offense that you've done.
So
you do not even know what offense did I commit. You don't even know what is the procedure of all this. So someone threatens you or someone makes you feel gullible because you don't have the right information. So I think it's about information. Let Kenyans, our young people, have the right exposure. But at the end of the day, I will say this. We, as the young people, need to stand up for ourselves. We now know what is good for us and what is not good for us. It is high time that we say that me being poor will not be my portion again. I am in an economy where we have enough resources and enough wealth, and I know that money is available. I cannot allow a few people to start money in Switzerland and me perish here in Kenya. It is high time, and I'm the proponent of saying this. It is high time the young people stand up for themselves and say that we need a better Kenya, we need better leadership, we need people that are going to ensure that we actually are able to meet our dreams. We need to make Kenya the Kenyan dream. Not always talking about the American dream. No.
There's a Kenyan dream now.
There is a Kenyan dream, and I know I can make it in Kenya. But those few individuals that are making sure that I don't meet that particular dream, it is high time that we stand up to them. That is what I would tell my young people in 2020. Let us stand up, let's stand up for ourselves, and let's ensure that we actually meet these opportunities.
So Brian, years to come, do you feel that the youth have hope?
Yes.
That we are the ones who are going to rule then?
Yes. Yeah, I think there's plenty of hope, because at the end of the day, you know, we live in a transitioning world that it's natural to grow old and it's natural to die. Just the same way it's natural to breathe. So either you take the responsibility now, and once you fail, if you fail to take the responsibility now, time will catch up with you. Because if we fail to groom the right leaders who are supposed to take those positions, time will come that it will now demand those positions to be taken away from people. I believe if we don't take responsibility, it might come a time that everyone is running around. Where can we get a cabinet secretary to head this department? And they ask who is willing to fill in this position. But because of the mess that we allowed to happen, everyone doesn't want that. Because people also think that leadership is easy. I always respect those leaders once we see them, the CSs, the ministers and the governors.
Most
and
people
the
actually think it's
they actually do
money.
A lot of work. And I think also I think they get into kind of a culture shock, because they get there to those offices with too much expectation, only to get there and find the people who went before them, they have messed a lot of things. And they try to fix them, and also having the pressure, everyone is watching, everyone is on social media nowadays trying to attack you and asking you, what have you been able to do for us? And everyone is trying to look for your number. You get there, and some of them, since they were not well groomed, they end up breaking down. They end up breaking down, they start misbehaving even publicly. They start drinking, chewing. We've seen them in public. It's not because they lack the qualities, it's only because they were not luckily groomed. Because if we have this leadership, and we have this the current maybe government maybe to say, we have some which stand out, tend to stand out, and we have some that are average, and we have others who perform maybe below average. Why is it that we have those that stand out? It's because maybe they've been properly groomed. And I believe there's much potential for the youth. There's much hope in this nation, because travel to the world, everyone loves Kenya. I've traveled, I've gone places, and everyone, once they hear just you're from Kenya, it was the other year, just in 2019, when Eliud Kipchoge broke the world record, and everyone loves Kenya, everyone wants to be part of Kenya, because I feel even the climate is really favorable for agriculture. People have been able to be misled that for you to make it in life, you have to go to Nairobi, start a business. A business is what will make you money. People have forgotten, you can go to the farms, plant avocados, plant sisal, plant, you know, millet, harvest and make a lot of money with minimal. And also maybe an advice to the youth, this is the time that we need to invest in labor-intensive jobs rather than capital-intensive jobs. When you start thinking in that perspective, in labor, I mean labor-intensive, like for example, a car wash. A car wash needs only one, maybe or two machines, but more labor of the people who will dry the cars, who will wipe the cars, who will wash. That is minimal. In capital is demanded to start the business and more labor is needed. But at the end of the day, you're making a lot of money. Most people believe for me to be prosperous, I need to have a lot of money to invest and buy furnitures. But you see, also I always tell the leaders, the mistakes that we do now, they might not add up now, but in future they will add up. You'll steal money from the public, you'll go build houses, and 10 years from now, you might not have clients to occupy those houses. So instead of doing that, let's put money where it's supposed to be. And I believe that's the best thing actually we're doing with Ajiri, because late last year in 2019, before we broke for the December holidays, we interviewed over we only wanted like 100 youths to work in those 10 specific centers. We interviewed all the people who showed up for the interview, there were over 1,000. So we had 4 days having a panel of 20 people interviewing all these people. And now we've been able now to deploy them to work in these centers. To be one, we were looking for who can they be representatives, can they be role models to the specific location we are going to deploy them. Can they be able to develop a self-sustainable plan? Because also, once I give you cash, I need you to come back and ask you, I gave you 100,000. What have you been able to do with it? Did you just go and spend it, or have you been able to multiply it? What if you've made profit? Have you been able to open also an opportunity for another person? And I believe before the September of this year, we need to have trained 24,000 new skills. And right after training, also we find where can we deploy them. So as we have now, we've crossed over from the problem of trying to locate the skill and labor. We are now thinking on how can we develop opportunities all these skills that are currently graduating from colleges, universities, schools, how can we now deploy them to start generating? Because the more the number of people are unemployed in our nation, that means there's no even money circulation. You'll always hear people saying there's no money circulation because we have a lot of energy, we have a lot of skills which is not being put to work. And if we don't sustain that, it will be depressed. And these people will start, soon you'll start hearing of Kenya has a low expectancy rate. But I believe with initiatives like what he's doing, what I'm doing, what someone else is doing, with such initiatives is how we are going to build up the nation. Okay,
maybe you can just, as we wind up due to time, you can advise the youth out there, those who've lost hope, and there are those who are just sitting at home thinking there's no hope in this life, and then they turn to crime. What advice would you give them?
There is a lot of hope for our young people. I would want to tell the youth out there, opportunities are available for you. Number one, it's about discipline. Number two, it's mind shift. Number three is information. And you should be hungry to look for that particular information. Have that hunger. Have always have the drive to go out and actually look out for this particular information. As I wind up, there are key metrics that determine the success of a country and the increase of the GDP. Number one is a very stimulated economy. There is money in circulation. People are actually generating income. Then number two, you look at how are you able to improve household incomes. Household incomes, the family is the unit of development. So how do you improve household incomes? It's if you're able to actually make an investment and you're able to increase the revenue streams that you have within your particular household. So I would speak a lot that everything we do as young people or everything we do as Kenyans boils down on finances. Financial investment literacy is very key and it is very important. At Sotika, we have made that our core mandate. How do we help you manage your finances?
Okay. And for people out there,
Yes.
if they want to get to you, how can they reach you? How can they reach?
Yeah, sure. So if you want to get to us, you can get on our website, sotika.com. That's our website. You can also go to youthnation.com. Also, our Facebook page is Youth Nation. Our Facebook page is Sotika. Our phone numbers are available there, 0705 599 442. You can be able to find us there, and we can be able to help you. In Nairobi town, we are at Luther Plaza, opposite Nairobi University. You can also find us in Thika town at Witevia House on 5th floor, and you can come in and we can help you. We can help you develop a plan on how you're going to turn around your life. Yes.
Thank you so much, Kitonga. And where can people find you, Brian?
People now can find us into the Two Rivers Mall, the biggest mall, of course, in East Africa. And also Ajiri will now be transitioning into 10 different counties: Mombasa, Kisumu, Nairobi, name them, all the big counties, Machakos. Even we are crossing over even to Wajir. And this is just the first 10 pilot centers. Then we'll be able to cross over to all the 47 counties. And then maybe a word to the youth is, one, you need to build up your character. Character is key, because in my training, one of my trainers once told me that character before skill. During our interviews, we really met gifted people who are really first class level, but they don't have the right attitude. I think they tend to develop that sense of pride. So once build up on your character, discipline, then just have the right attitude.
Thank you so much, guys. I know we can talk a lot, but due to time, we have to wrap it up. I'm sure many people out there have been inspired by what you have to say. If you need more, you can reach them out on their websites as they communicated, and also where they're located at. Thank you so much. I appreciate. I'm sure people out there are very inspired. Guys, we're not done yet. Don't go anywhere, because after the break, we'll be having Catherine Mwangi.